Guys, I'm on for Podspot and welcome to week 28 of the 2018-2019 Premier League review. If you are new to the series, what we do is take a look at the past set of Premier League results, we take a look at the Premier League table, and we finish off by looking at the Premier League top goal scorers. So here are the past set of Premier League results. These games were played on Tuesday the 26th and Wednesday the 27th of February 2019. Also next to the games are their times in this video, so if you want to hear about specific match, just go to the time next to the game and you'll skip out all the other crap. But without further ado, let's get into our first match. And we start with Liverpool versus Watford. Liverpool took the lead 10 minutes into the game as Sadio Mane opened the scoring. James Milner had the ball and played it off to his right for Trent Alexander-Arnold. It's a fantastic ball in by Trent, a ton of whip on it, and Mane has a free header as he ghosted between the two centre-backs and headed into the top left corner from 6 yards out. And Liverpool doubled their lead 10 minutes later. Sadio Mane got his and Liverpool's second of the night. It's the exact same combo from the first goal as Trent again puts a brilliant ball in. Watford tried to play the offside trap but failed, and Mane picks the ball up, but he has his back to goal. No problem, lad. Back heel into the ground, chips Foster and into the back of the net. And Liverpool got their third in the 66th minute as Divock Origi pretty much put the game to bed. He actually started and finished the move as he had the ball on the wing before making his way inside. He stood his man up, cut inside another one and drilled one beyond Ben Foster at his near post. And Liverpool got a fourth in the 79th minute as the best defender in the world, not that one, yeah that one, got his second league goal of the season. A hat-trick of assists for Trent Alexander-Arnold as he whipped a fierce ball in from a free kick, and Virgil van Dijk does what he does best as he got above his man, won the ball in the air and headed down into the ground and into the back of the net. And Liverpool got a fifth just a few minutes later as Virgil van Dijk got his second of the night. Another header won by the Flying Dutchman, that's going to be his nickname now. But this time it's from an Andy Robertson cross as a free kick is put in, partially cleared, but it gets played back to Robbo to put one in from the left hand side this time. But no matter which way the ball comes in for, whenever Van Dijk is in the box, he's the man to aim for, as yet again he got up, headed down into the ground and into the right corner. And that's how the game ended, with Liverpool dominating Watford from the first whistle to the last. It was Liverpool's biggest win of the season, and they deserved it all pretty much. They were by far the better side, with Trent Alexander-Arnold having possibly his best game in a Liverpool shirt. Watford haven't had the best of times against Liverpool recently, especially at Anfield, as they've lost 5-0, 5-0 and 6-1 in their last 3 visits to Anfield. There will be bigger tests for Liverpool, but they will look forward to the Merseyside derby this Sunday. And we move on to Arsenal versus Bournemouth. It wouldn't take long for one of these teams to open their scoring as just 4 minutes into the match, Arsenal took the lead through Mesut Ozil. Shoddy defending from Bournemouth as Sead Kolasinac put the ball forward to Mesut Ozil, and for some reason the Cherries backline has just gone walkabouts. Ozil is in a ton of space to take it forward, Boric dives to his right but Ozil hits it into the ground and bounces over Boric and into the back of the net. And Arsenal double the lead just before the half hour mark as Henrik Mkhitaryan got the goal. A stupid pass by Adam Smith as he goes for a long diagonal right in front of his own box. He gets it horribly wrong and gives it straight to Mkhitaryan. He played it forward to Mesut Ozil, who unselfishly played it back to Mkhitaryan, and he tapped into the empty net. But Bournemouth would get a goal back just a few minutes later as Lys Mousset halved the deficit. Arsenal were just too casual in possession as Matteo Guendouzi took too long and was dispossessed by Dan Gosling on the edge of his own box. Gosling then squared it to Mousset, who tapped home for his first league goal since last April. But Arsenal got their 2-goal lead back just a minute into the second half as Laurent Koscielny got Arsenal's third. Mesut Ozil again involved as he played Mkhitaryan free on the right. He fizzed a low cross through the legs of a defender and the path of Koscielny, and the centre-back whacks it towards goal. It seemed to go over the line as Boric attempted to claw it back, but Aubameyang was there to make sure it was in, but the ball did cross the line and was correctly given to the French defender. And Arsenal got a fourth in the 59th minute, and this time Pierre Aubameyang got the goal. Mkhitaryan with another assist as he spotted Aubameyang peeling away and sent a perfectly weighted pass through to him before the striker rounded the keeper and slotted into the empty net. And Arsenal got a fifth 10 minutes from time as Alexandre Lacazette got in on the goals. Came from a free kick just outside the D. Sometimes this distance it's difficult to get the ball up and over the wall, but not for Lacazette as he gets it over the wall and back down again for it to nestle into the bottom left corner. And that's how the game ended, with Arsenal picking up their biggest win under Unai Emery, winning by 4 goals in a really good display. With all the speculation about his future, this performance would have given the Ozil fanboy something to be happy about for the rest of the season, as he put in a shift that we all know he can, but often seemingly chooses not to. Ozil made Arsenal tick throughout the entire game and helped them to a comfortable win over Bournemouth. And we move on to Crystal Palace versus Manchester United. Man United took the lead in the 32nd minute as Romelu Lukaku got his first league goal since the first weekend of January. Luke Shaw had the ball and the Palace defenders just kept on backing off him, so Shaw takes that as an invitation to run at them. They backed off until the edge of the box and the fullback laid it off to Lukaku, who took a touch and killed a lovely effort straight into the back of the net. And United doubled their lead 5 minutes in the second half as Romelu Lukaku got his and United's second of the match. Crystal Palace failed to deal with the corner and it came straight back in with Victor Lindelof flicking the ball onto Lukaku at the far post, and the Belgian uses his strength to overpower his man, turn him and then loop the ball over the keeper and at the top corner. But Palace were going to go back in the 66th minute as Joel Ward got his first Premier League goal in nearly 3 years. Poor defending from United this time as Palace were camped on the edge of the United box. It's pinging around a bit and Jeffrey Schlupp poked it past his man and floated a lovely ball across the face of goal to the back post, where Joel Ward is there to dive in and head home from close range. But United would double their lead again in the 85th minute as Ashley Young put the game to bed. Lukaku and Pogba linked up well in the middle. Pogba played it to Young on the overlap in a ton of space, and the United captain took a touch and whacked one back across goal and into the net to seal the win. And that's how the game ended, with United getting the win despite their massive injury list after having to make 3 subs at the weekend and play a majority of that match with an injured Marcus Rashford. He was left out and United have 8 players currently out injured. But there looked to be little fatigue as they swept aside Palace. Speaking of Palace, they were looking to end a horrible run against United as they've not won a single Premier League game against them, a span that now runs for 20 games. And this loss also brought an end to their 6-match unbeaten streak. They did pull a goal back, but it was too little as United doubled their lead again and extended their unbeaten league run under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to 11 games. And we move on to Cardiff versus Everton. Everton took the lead 5 minutes before half time as Gylfi Sigurdsson became the highest scoring Icelandic player in Premier League history. The ball was pinged down the right and Seamus Coleman was on his bike to chase it down. He stands his man up before taking it to the byline. He looks up and sees Sigurdsson unmarked before pulling it back to the Icelandic midfielder, and the former Swansea man drilled it into the bottom right corner from just inside the area to send his old rival fans into silence. And Everton doubled their lead in the 65th minute as Gylfi Sigurdsson got his and Everton's second of the night. It's all about Bernard this goal, though. Lovely play from the Brazilian as he danced around the Cardiff defenders and made his way into the box. He got it back to Morgan Schneiderlin and the keeper Neil Etheridge does well to palm his shot away, but it fell to the feet of Sigurdsson, who smashed the rebound home into the top corner. And Everton got a third in the 93rd minute as Dominic Calvert-Lewin put one final nail in the Cardiff coffin. Cardiff were throwing men forward as you'd expect, but they got caught out as Everton broke forward with Idrissa Gueye. He slipped the ball right through the Cardiff defence up to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin makes his way towards goal and slams it into the back of the net. And that's how the game ended, with Everton ending a run of 3 defeats to grab victory in Wales. Everton had not played since early this month and may have welcomed the time to recuperate after being on a slump before that. It took time for Everton to get into the game, but when they did, they had the game by the scruff of the neck and pretty much controlled it. Cardiff looked to bounce back after a 4-goal loss at the weekend and they started the more urgent of the two sides, but Cardiff looked vulnerable at the back and it's been a bit of a dismal week for the Bluebirds, having 2 big losses at home in the space of a few days. And we move on to Leicester versus Brighton. After appointing their new manager just an hour before the game, they wanted to impress Brendan Rodgers, who was in the crowd, and they would have done that 10 minutes into the game as Demarai Gray capped off a lovely team move with a goal. It had been coming as Wilfred Ndidi won the ball on the halfway line and played it up to Yuri Tielemans. He has loads of space to run into and does just that. The chance to pass the ball to Gray looks to have gone, but the Belgian does well to play a brilliant disguised reverse ball through the Brighton defence up to Demarai Gray, who calmly put it past Matty Ryan and into the back of the net. And Leicester double their lead in the 63rd minute as Jamie Vardy made it 2-0 to the hosts. Yuri Tielemans involved yet again as he fed the ball to Ricardo Pereira on the right. He gave it to James Maddison, who found his striker Jamie Vardy. Vardy's too quick for Lewis Dunk as he burst past him and powered his effort low and hard right through the keeper. But Brighton were going to go back just a few minutes later as Davy Proper cut the deficit in half. Anthony Knockout's cross was deflected into the path of Proper. He proper sends Tielemans for a weekly shot with a lovely first touch and then smashes a low shot past Kasper Schmeichel. And that's how the game ended, with Leicester doing the thing they always do: lose games, sack manager, start winning again. It's just wash, rinse, repeat at this point. Harvey Barnes was a constant threat down the wing and was causing Brighton problems pretty much all match. Speaking of Brighton, they played well for part of the match and created a lot of chances that were wasted, but they haven't won a league game all year, with all 3 of their wins in 2019 being in the FA Cup. The lack of W's in the league though has left them in real drop zone danger. And we move on to Chelsea versus Tottenham. It was a tight first half in this London derby, but one team would take control of the match 10 minutes in the second half as Chelsea took the lead through Pedro. It was an all-Spanish affair as Pedro picked up Cesar Azpilicueta's ball on the right wing, and the winger embarrassed Toby Alderweireld by cutting inside him before putting the ball through the legs of Hugo Lloris and into the back of the net. And Chelsea doubled their lead in the 84th minute as Kieran Trippier scored a belter of an own goal. It's just Tottenham all over this. A ball bounces awkwardly on the edge of the box. Hugo Lloris and Trippier don't communicate well enough. Lloris comes for it. Trippier tries to pass it back to him, but instead just ends up side-footing it into the bottom corner from the edge of his own box. And as the game ended with Chelsea picking up a thoroughly deserved win over their London neighbours. Sarri did what I think we all would do and dropped Kepa after that EFL Cup fiasco, and it paid off as Big Willie kept a clean sheet. Chelsea could have had more as Higuain hit the post, but on the other team, Harry Winks hit the woodwork after a cracking hit from distance. Harry Kane missed a great chance, and after being on a massive winning run without him, they must have been licking their lips at the thought of having him back. But 2 games back for Kane and 2 losses for Tottenham that have pretty much ended any chances of a title run. And we move on to Newcastle versus Burnley. Newcastle opened the scoring in the 23rd minute as Fabian Schär scored a belter. To quote one of the most famous commentary lines, "What a hit, son. What a hit." It was the first bit of excitement in the game, but it was worth the wait. Newcastle were trying to get past the Burnley backline on the edge of the box, but they just couldn't, and the ball is played back to Schär. About 25, maybe 30 yards out, the Swiss defender took a touch and absolutely wellied one straight into the top right corner. And Newcastle doubled their lead 10 minutes later as their youth academy player Sean Longstaff got his first league goal for Newcastle. He starred and finished the move off as he played it to Matt Ritchie on the wing. Ritchie's cross wasn't dealt with by the Burnley defence and it dropped to Longstaff, and he arrowed one into the bottom corner. And that's how the game ended, with Burnley's unbeaten streak in 2019 coming to an end in the North East. It was a performance full of positives for Newcastle. Again, Miguel Almiron played well, with his pace causing Burnley problems all over the place. After a good run of form recently, Newcastle, who did find themselves in the drop zone about a month ago, have now climbed the table and actually jumped over their opponents and into 13th. And we move on to Southampton versus Fulham. In this massive game at the bottom, Southampton took the lead 25 minutes in through Aurelio Romeu. I think Sergio Rico has weak wrists or something, because this is the second game in a row where he punches a corner but only to the edge of his box. A corner swung in, poor punch by Rico goes straight to Romeu, who was on hand to lash a half volley towards goal that goes through a ton of bodies and into the back of the net. And Southampton doubled their lead 5 minutes from half time as James Ward-Prowse gave Fulham plenty to think about in the break. After arguably their best spell of play in the game, one head up the pitch castles them out as Pierre-Emile Højbjerg heads up the pitch and Charlie Austin latches onto it. He tees off Nathan Redmond, who hit it from about 20 yards out. That forces the save from Rico, but he can't hold it, and rushing onto the rebound was Ward-Prowse, who tapped home the second. And that's how the game ended, with Southampton picking up a win in a relegation 6-pointer. Southampton were quite poor in the opening half and found themselves with far less possession, but 2 up thanks to the ever so reliable Fulham defence. I swear, the Fulham defence is as useful as a chocolate kettle. Ryan Bertrand was a constant threat towards Fulham as Southampton were composed in a relatively routine win for the home side, as Fulham continue to be the only Premier League team without an away win to their name this season. And we move on to Manchester City versus West Ham. It was an unusually quiet game, but we would get a bit of excitement in the 58th minute as Man City were given a penalty. Bernardo Silva was on the pitch for about 30 seconds and he made his way towards the West Ham box before being tripped up just as he got inside the box. Sergio Aguero stepped up to take the penalty and sent the keeper the wrong way and slotted into the bottom right corner to become the Premier League's leading goalscorer. And the game ended with Manchester City just about getting across the line to keep up with Liverpool. To be fair, West Ham never really threatened the Man City goal in the first half, and in the second half really, they were happy to sit back, but Man City's free flow of football just didn't seem to work against the tough West Ham back line. City's final ball just failed to have any impact, but in the end, an Argentine spot kick got them the win, which they did deserve. And finally, we've got Huddersfield versus Wolves. It looked like it was going to end goalless, which would have been a great result for Huddersfield before the game, but the result would get better as they won the game in the 91st minute thanks to Steve Mooney. Aaron Moy carried the ball down the right hand side before drilling the ball across the face of goal. It dropped to Carlin Grant, his scuff shot bounced off of a defender before dropping to Mooney, who poked home from a yard out. And as the game ended with Huddersfield picking up their first win in 14 games, and ironically enough their last win was against Wolves. You've been good this season, Wolves, but clearly Huddersfield have your number, boys. And let's not beat around the bush, Huddersfield deserved the win here just about. The game was pretty even, but I'd say Huddersfield just about edged it. They restricted a poor Wolves side to 0 shots on target. This win, to put it bluntly, will probably be pointless by the end of the season, but the scenes as Mooney scored the winner was class, and it showed that there's still some belief, but again, they need to sharpen up their finishing if they want to have any chance of survival. Right, so that's all the games I've got for this time. Before we go, let's take a look at the Premier League table and top goal scorers, starting off with that Premier League table. Starting with the top 5, and as you can see, Liverpool are on the top after their big win against Watford. Man City is second after narrowly beating West Ham. Tottenham are third after losing to Chelsea. Arsenal are fourth after putting 5 past Bournemouth, and Man United make up the top 5 after beating Crystal Palace. Moving on to the bottom 5, and Huddersfield are on the bottom after a rare victory against Wolves. Fulham are 19th after losing to Southampton. Cardiff make up the relegation zone after losing to Everton. Southampton jump to 17th after beating Fulham, and Brighton make up the bottom 5 after losing to Leicester. Moving on to the top goal scorers, and as you can see, Sergio Aguero is now on the top after his penalty kick against West Ham took him to 18 goals and 6 assists. Mo Salah is second on 17 goals and 7 assists. Pierre Aubameyang got a goal against Bournemouth that took him to 16 goals and 4 assists. Harry Kane is fourth on 15 goals and 4 assists, and after his double against Watford, Sadio Mane is now in the top 5 on 14 goals and the 1 assist. Right, so that's all I've got for this time. If you did enjoy it, be sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll be back next Tuesday at 4 PM for the next episode of the Premier League review. If you want to stay up to date about anything we do, it would be best to follow us on Twitter. The link to that is in the description, or it's at @portionofsport_. If you missed the last episode, that'll be popping on the right hand side of the outro screen, and a link to the channel will be on the left if you feel like subscribing. But anyway, thanks for watching. Be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to. I've been Mark from A Portion of Sport, and I will see you soon.
My mama calls, see you on TV. Sunset shit done changed. Ever since we was on, I dreamed it all. Ever since I was young, they said I will be